सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। We are moving to the new chapter, Theory of Perception. What we have seen so far is this: the purpose of religion. There we studied two aspects are there. One is positive religion and negative religion. Positive religion is to probe, inquire, and understand the reality, truth. If your efforts were to be in that direction, it is positive religion. Any other direction other than that is called as negative religion. So then we started inquiring into the law of causation, the cause and effect. Every cause produces an effect, and as a consequence, you have to experience whatever actions that you have done. You have to go through the consequences of it. Where we study two dimensions of that principle. One is the law of destiny, another one, law of karma. Further extension of that, we study birth and death. And understood the theory of reincarnation. Now we are moving to the next one. Now what is the link here, sir? The essential link is this. If you have to go through the consequences, your karma, it is possible only with the sense of reality. Only with a sense of reality you will be able to experience karma. You will be able to perform action, go through the consequences and all that. Now we start asking a fundamental question. How does the sense of reality we get? Of course we say, law of causation, there is a cause, there is an effect, there is law of destiny, there is purushartha, there is prarabdha, this, that, all those things for you to go through. It is possible only when you feel it is real. But on what basis you are vouching, on what basis you are claiming reality to your experiences? That is the direction in which we are going to move now. So that the gear is shifting completely now. From now onwards, the gear goes for a toss. You see, that's why all these years I have never taken this Vedanta treatise book beyond that law of causation. I covered the book about 7-8 times. All those places, it has been only up to law of causation, and I tell people forget it. After that, you don't worry about it. Because the gear shift. Now we are going to probe into abstract ideas. And many of us find it difficult to relate to abstract ideas. Because we are not worried about abstractions. We are worried about, immediate. Tell me, give a solution to my problem. That is far more important for us than the ideas. But philosophers are not worried about the immediate. They are worried about something deep rooted, fundamental. They are not at they don't live their life on the surface. They go to deeper. And now that's what is happening here now. It's like a man comes and asks you, sir, I want to know the depth of the ocean. You take him in a ship and tell him jump in the ocean. He'll go down and check it. He says, my God, I am scared to jump in to the ocean. So the captain of the ship says, okay, you're scared, no? Don't worry. What will happen to me and all that you're worried, no? Okay, don't worry about it. What I'll do is, I'll give you a ladder. A long ladder I will give. I'll put that ladder inside. You can go step by step. Step by step, step by step, step by step, step by step you can go. And when you go to the bottommost rung of the ladder, from there you can jump. That's easy, no? From the height to jump is the issue, but to jump from the last one is not a big problem, isn't it? So the captain said, go in. And that's exactly what Vedanta is doing here to all of us. Up to the chapter 17, it is like ladder. Step by step, step by step, step by step, step by step. Suddenly from that law of causation, the theory of perception, you have to jump in. Means, actually if you see, comparison to the depth of the ocean, what is the longest ladder you can have? You can have about 100 steps, 1000 steps. You have a ladder of 1000 steps and you put that ladder inside the ocean. Or you closer. You are nowhere near the depths. See, they say there are many areas in the ocean we are yet to explore in science. It is so deep. We have explored Mars. We have gone to Moon also. But the depths of ocean we are yet to explore. Not easy. But prima facie, when you look at it, it looks more logical to tell a person, I'll put a ladder inside and then jump. So he believes and he goes inside. The assumption is the captain believes once you go to that depth, right, you will be so fascinated with the ocean, you won't feel that, you will not get scared of taking the plunge. Similarly, this is the plunge here. We have to move in, and suddenly we start asking questions which are not usually asked by us. We don't probe it. We believe in the reality of the world. We believe in the reality of our experiences. Because of that belief only, you are able to conceive and go through karma and all those things. The moment you question this basic thing, what is, on what basis? The only basis we all claim is, what are you asking, Ishwaran? It's absurd. What gives reality to this experience of the class? What? I'm seeing you. I am hearing you. You may not be physically present in front of us, but still, through the laptop, I'm seeing you. I'm able to hear you. Isn't that? Philosophers were questioning that basis. On the basis of this perception alone, we attribute reality to the world, and because we believe in the reality of the world alone, we are able to experience law of karma. They're able to go through the cycle of birth and death. All that is looking real to us. But Vedanta probes, and philosophers have probed into it, and they have started inquiring into the basis. The fundamental way of gaining this knowledge of the world is through the senses. Therefore, we start the inquiry from perception. Of course, we need to study what is perception, and with reference to theory, of course, I have already explained to you when we did this theory of reincarnation. I don't know what I said, but I do remember said something about theory. Now, what is that? Theorization, sir. Now, theorization, don't take it as a mere speculating ideas. It's not just a speculation, please. There is a system. There is a procedure for us to build a theory, develop a theory. Speculation is just a claim. Like saying, whenever you go from your house, when all of you go outside, when you lock your house and go out, you know what happens in the house? Your mattress, your cot, your chair, your dining table, all of them will be dancing. They were all dancing, you know that. But as soon as you enter, everyone will go to its place. This is what is happening. When I say this, it's not a theory. You see, you cannot disprove it. When I claim this, can you say, no, Ishwaran, it is not happening? I'll ask you, what is the proof? You'll say, we have put a CCTV camera. Your tables and chairs know that the CCTV camera is on. Switch off the CCTV camera. Only then they will behave like this. Then what happens? This is called the speculation. Right? Now, many people think philosophers were more of speculators. They just speculate. They just, claim things. Now, Vedanta says, no, it's not like that. They go through a procedure. What is the procedure of building a theory? Step 1 is you observe certain data, certain facts, some events. You observe something. Based on that observed things, you see 2, 3 facts observed, and we try to connect those things and find what is underlying. What is the implications? It implies this, say, which is what we call as proposition or hypothesis. So first step 1 in the development of theory is observation, data collection. And of course, every step comes with its own problems. Right? Second step is to propose a hypothesis. And just because you observe facts doesn't mean you can propose a hypothesis. It is not possible. Everyone will not be able to propose this hypothesis. Even to propose a hypothesis, you need a tremendous imagination. Remember, this is where theory gets really interesting. So, observed facts remains the same. There is a hypothesis is given, proposed, the proposed one, they say possibility, you say, it could be this. With that, for that to do what is needed, it's not just the data, because data is the same for everyone. Data is common, but everyone will not be able to give that proposal. Only few are able to give that proposal. Then comes the application of reasoning, logic, application of experimentation, all this. And then you prove that hypothesis or disprove the hypothesis. If you disprove the hypothesis, then you have to go back to step one. Maybe data collection, we made a mistake, or we have made a mistake in terms of the very proposal of the hypothesis itself. Change the hypothesis and go back again with the applications of your reasoning, applications of your testing. You got to test those hypotheses. Then you come to a conclusion. If that conclusion is possible to be empirically proved, then we claim those things to become laws. If empirically something cannot be proved, it remains a theory. That's the only difference. Now, when it comes to philosophy, we are probing into that empirical data itself. You see, now to be expecting an empirical proof, when we are questioning the empirical data itself, we are questioning the very data. Because for first step is what? Observation of certain facts. Is that no? Isn't it? Are you collecting complete data? For you to develop a proper theory, a sound theory, you need complete data. With an incomplete data, you will never be able to come to a proper conclusion. Right? In that observations, we can make a mistake of a selective observations, isn't it? This is where a lot of problem starts. Observation itself can become very selective. You collect only data which are already pre-concluded by you. You search for data only that. Exactly like the moment you buy Honda City, suddenly you will see on road many Honda Cities. Isn't it? Before that you will not see. The moment you will be, now are you collecting data or you are simply biased? So you already pre-concluded and then you are searching for the data to support that. Is this the way observation can be done? You say no. Observation cannot be selective. It has to be a comprehensive data. Then in that observation itself, there is other problems also we find. Observation by whom? Right. A trained eye sees the CT scan. Okay. The psychiatrist or this neuro physician, he sees the CT scan. Okay. He reads. You see that. But what is the data that you are collecting? What is the data he is collecting? Now, whose data collection is to be taken? This is how we study Vedanta. This is how henceforth all the classes will be. On what basis? What are you talking? Now, it depends on the which eye is seeing. That expert eye seeing something to collect that information, something else collecting information which is going to be validated. You are seeing the eye are seeing. There is a stick that you place inside the water. Your eye is giving an information to you that it is bent. Okay? The eye is giving you the information that it is crooked, it is bent. But when you put your hands inside and try to figure out where is the bend in that, which point the bend is, when you search with your fingers, when you run through with your fingers, your skin says it's not bent. Now, which information you will take? Are you going to take the eye or are you going to take the skin? Because we say seeing is believing, sir. Now, your own eye says one thing, your own skin says something else. Now, which is valid now? Which is the relevant data that you are going to take for you to process the whole thing? This is what theory of perception we are doing. We are not even going one step further and all those things. Vedanta, these philosophers have probed into the reverse. They didn't go forward. That is why it is very difficult for you to find law here. Because as far as we are concerned, we have a wrong understanding of the term law. Because for us, law means it should be empirically demonstrated. It should be a demonstrable one. Now we are questioning the very demonstration itself. Because you are observing the demonstration, no? That is the perception. Now when we are questioning the very perception, you can't go back to the perception to give a proof for perception. To look like, kettle. Now eye is giving a proof of the existence of eye. Now, arguing in circle that is. That is why you can never find a law in philosophy. Everything will be theory now. Henceforth, it will be only theorizations. Maya, theory, not a law. Because we have a wrong thing. That's what Ramtirtha says. If what Vedanta says is not logical to you, change your logic, he says. He says your logic is wrong. Change your logic. Vedanta cannot be changed. This is same. So for us to develop that idea, first step, you see, what is the link between the previous chapter and the next chapter? What did we study in the previous chapter? All of us are going through our karma. If I have to go through my karma, I have to believe in the reality of the world. Only then I can go through it. If I have a doubt in the reality of it, how can I go through it? See, how can I experience something as pleasure? How can I experience something as pain? When I have a doubt, I'm not saying it is unreal. When you doubt whether it is real or not, the person who is standing in front of you, is he real or not? When you are not sure about it, doesn't matter what he is claiming, whether he is giving respect to you or he is being disrespectful towards you, you will not pay attention to that. You cannot go through that experience. You cannot experience respect or you cannot experience the disrespect. You cannot experience pleasure, you cannot experience pain. Having ice cream is such a pleasant experience. What a pleasure, Correct. Only when you believe in the reality of it. Now, we ask this question, fundamental question comes is, it is real. Means, on what basis I am saying it is real? What is it that brings reality to my experience? He say, sir, the very experience itself is real, no? What are you asking, Ishwaran? The question itself we find it difficult to understand. We say, you study the Upanishads and all that, the answers of the masters are not problem. If you see the commentaries, elaborate commentaries were given to the question raised by the student. You see the Bhashyas, very interesting. Bhashyakaras, they go on giving commentaries to explain the question to us. Because question is more complicated than the answer for us. The question is, what brings that? On what basis I am claiming this to be real? On the basis we have is, I am seeing, no. I am hearing, I am smelling, I am tasting, I am touching, I am experiencing it. Because I am experiencing it, it is real. Because I believe that it is real, I am able to go through the experiences of pleasure and pain, which is accounted by law of karma as a consequence of your previous actions. After that, it's very easy to understand. Now what he is doing is, he is switching over to the basic question of on what basis we are experiencing it. On what basis we are going to be proving. Now here we need to ask this question of the relationship between what is appearing and what is real. Appearance and reality. Look at the picture. What is the relationship between appearance and reality? Picture 1, if you see, there it says all appearances are real. Right? And some real things do not appear. There are 4 ways we can conceive the relationship possibilities between reality and appearance. 4 ways. The first way is this. You see, sir, all appearances are real. This is the first stand all of us have taken. Because it is, I am seeing it, no, real. Therefore, it is. So, all that is experienced by me, all that is appearing in front of my eyes is real. Oh, does it mean reality is equal to appearances? We say no. Reality is bigger than appearance. Therefore, some realities may not appear. This is possibility number 1. Possibility number 2 is exactly opposite of it. Everything that is real must appear. If it is real, it must appear, no? But some appearances are unreal. Some things are unreal, some appearances are unreal, but real must appear. If it is real, it must appear. Only then it is real, otherwise it is not real. The third one is, we say, there are two things are parallel. Remember, no real thing will appear and no appearance is real. That's what he is explaining. The book. What he is explaining is only these things. The first one we have seen is, sir, all appearance is real. Then we raise an objection to it. Need not be, no? From your own experience. Say, how is it? What about mirage? The mirage that you see, it appears. But is it real? Is that water real there? Is it? No. So, the first proposition is out. I'm only giving an example of how we think. Because here data we take, which data to be taken we don't know. So we start from the proposal itself. Straight hypothesis. First hypothesis is this. So we find a lacuna in that. So we say, no, sir, not necessarily. Correct. It need not appear in front of me. Okay. Then what about the second one, sir? No. The second possibility we see is everything that real must appear. Okay. What about thoughts? What about consciousness? Does it appear? What about pain? Does it appear in front of you? That's why I can never understand your pain. You will say it is so painful, but how? Show me. If I ask you, you will say what? It's really paining, man. Say, oh, I don't know. How much is paining? Really paining. If I ask you 4 times, 5th time, you will give me one whack. You are seeing, no? Now here we find again a problem. Doesn't mean. Then when you say, okay, sir, are they existing parallel? Can you say they are of parallel thing? Again we find that is also missing a link there. Because how can appearance exist independent of reality? How is that possible? So we rule that out. So that is also ruled out. Then finally we are left with the fourth option. The fourth option where we see is some appearances are real, some real appears, and all appearances are not real, and all real do not appear. There is a mismatch. Because of this mismatch, we have a tremendous Because of this fact, we understand just because something appears doesn't mean it has to be real. You're all with me? How we arrive at it. How we say, on what basis you challenge the perception itself, sir. What is the basis for you to challenge it? This is the basis for us to challenge it. Challenge that on this basis. Because of this one, we say, just because something is appearing, it doesn't prove the reality of it. If it is not proving the reality of it, then what? If it is not real, then what is the nature of it? And then what is the connection? This is where we probe into perception. So we go to the very first step. Say, okay, man, what is perception then? What are we perceiving? And we develop ideas to explain, account for our perception. Accounting for that, explaining an experience is what a theory is all about. Theory is supposed to do that. And unearth the underlying principle. Every theory attempts to unearth the underlying principles. So, by explaining that fact, we unearth, we understand the underlying principle. So, the study of perception we are doing for what? Two things are done. One, we account for how we are able to experience the world and from where we are getting the sense of reality to the world. So, we understand the world, we understand how we are experiencing the world, and also we understand from where that reality comes in. So, where is reality in this entire equation? So, we study this perception first. Right? Now, how a perception happens and what all certain basic ideas that you need to remember when you are studying perception. The moment you say perception, it implies two things: a perceiver and perceived. There are two things are there: experiencer and experienced. The moment you say experience, there are two instantly that comes: experiencer and experienced. Without the perceiver and the perceived, perception is an impossibility. Right? Now here we have to keep certain basic principles. Without having this basic principle established, we cannot proceed further in thinking. Right? Of course, he is going to explain that in the book. You don't have to worry about it. Right? I am just giving a basic intro. We have seen so far why we are studying perception now and why we are calling it as a theory. And now we are moving to, okay, in the study of perception, what I have to keep in the backdrop. Point number one, the perceiver has to be different and has to be apart from the perceived for the perception to happen. Isn't it? Perceiver cannot become one with the perceived and then perception to happen. That is not possible. For a perception to happen, principle number one, or you can put it as the laws of perception. The first law of perception is the perceiver has to be different from the perceived. Right? Number one. Number two, the perceiver is one, the perceived many. There is one perceiver who perceives many things. I see many things now. But the eye with which I am seeing is one only. Don't say, Ishwara, don't you know that we have two eyes? I'm talking about vision. Okay. You will see that next step when we go to the mechanism of perception, we will be able to understand this. The second point that we need to remember is this. Mechanism of perception we will see later. Now, since we have started this, we will do this first. Right. The perceiver has to be one, and the perceived are many. Right. Second principle. The third principle is, the third idea is, the perceiver remains changeless with reference to the perceived. Right. The perceiver is changeless with reference to the perceived. Perceiver also changing at the same rate of the perceived, perception is not possible. You have to be stationary for you to register that. Otherwise, it is not possible. So we say the third principle is this, where the perceiver remains changeless with reference to the perceived. He may be changing with reference to something else, because always remember, change is relative. With reference to something only you can define change. You cannot define change by itself, on its own, with reference to something. So, between the perceiver and perceived, the perceiver remains changeless relatively with reference to the perceived. Third principle. Then comes the fourth principle. The fourth quarter. With these four quarters put together becomes completion of the idea of perception. The fourth idea we have is, I am the perceiver, anything other than me is perceived. You will understand why all these points are important. As we study the subject, we will understand why all these four are essential to understand. Now, what are you? You are the perceiver. To me, you are perceived. To you, who are you? To me, who am I? I am the perceiver. I am the perceiver and not the perceived. Because perceived is different from the perceiver. That's the first principle we have seen. Right? Now the question comes is, sir, I am perceived or perceiver? For others, I am perceived. To me, what I am? Perceiver or perceived? To me, I am the perceiver, not the perceived. Then we start the whole analysis of perception. What this perception happens, sir? How this perception is happening? Now, what do you mean by this perception? See, perception is not to be taken in the narrow sense of seeing. Remember, many people take it as the perception means seeing. No. Knowing something through the eyes is called perception. You say, no. That's not the way to understand perception, please. So, in the theory of perception, you say it is not just the eye. Okay, you mean to say you are including the other senses also? Yes, we are including the other senses also. But we are including something more than that also. Just the senses is not what we are referring to. Then what happens to the term perception? What is the word perception indicates here? Remember, in the analysis, we will be analyzing from the sense of seeing. Okay. And then you have to extend it to all the aspects. That is why I am telling you now itself. Right? Because many people will take it as just seeing, sir. Whatever is seen. That's why the earlier study of appearance and reality analysis is very helpful for us. Appearance. Appearance to what? To your senses only. So are we saying the entire gamut of experience possibilities are restricted only to the senses? What about love? What about anger? What about jealousy? Which sense is experiencing that? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. Which one experiences jealousy? Love. You say, no. What about that? See, now here when we are talking about perception, we are talking about the very experience possibilities starting from perception. Therefore, we call it as perception. Right? The starting point is perception. Senses. Of the senses, the first one we are using is eyes. And ask me, okay, without complicating all this, suppose imagine a fellow comes and keeps a gun at gun point. You are standing and he says, I'll give you an option. Of the 5 senses, one sense, if you forego, I will let you go. Which one you will leave? Very interesting question. Yeah, 5 senses. All 5 are important for us. Right? But at the same time, we don't equally validate all 5, no. We are not going to give all 5 equal value. All the senses belong to body only, but still, we don't give same value. And I asked this question to a few students. See, these things I could do when I was doing, the schools and colleges. I can't ask you people these sort of questions. Because you will never give honest answer. Suddenly you will start talking more philosophy than me. So, that's why I don't ask these questions too. But ask this question to a group of students. Hey, somebody keeps a gunpoint. Says, of the five, you have to forego one. If you forego one, I will. Which one will you will be willing to forego? Surprisingly, the answer they gave, all of them said, smell, sir. Sense of smell. In fact, some of them said, the students are very funny there. They said, better to, forget, sir. Why? The fellow sitting next to me, so smelly. But no one was willing to forego their eyes. Sense of seeing, perception. That is why we called it as theory of perception. It's nothing great. So we just went backwards. What is the primary one for all of us? That word was taken up. So perception here means not just the sight. Remember that. Does it mean all the senses, sir? Yes. Does it mean only senses, sir? No. All the experience possibilities. Of all that, we validate maximum value is given. The primary one we keep is the sight. Therefore, titled it as Theory of Perception. Since we have presented it as Theory of Perception, we will be studying it as only perception theory. All the discussions, explanations, all that will be with reference to seeing. More, it will be seeing. But please remember, don't restrict it only to this. It is all experiences. All experiences means what? We go one step further. Not just the sight, not just the senses, not just the experiences. Meaning what? All experiences means all the knowing possibilities, all that knowledge, all that we can know, we do know, comes only from what we have experienced. Experienced, don't say immediately seeing, senses, including your thoughts, including your feelings. All that is included here. Ideas, ideologies, everything is included. So, theory of perception means what? Theory of experiences. Experiencing what? Experiencing the world. Why we are studying about it? Because we feel it is real. Only then we are able to go through it. But the question comes is it real? On what basis we are claiming the reality to it? We are claiming the reality to it because we are experiencing. Therefore, a question comes. Is it real, therefore you are experiencing, or because you are experiencing, you are attributing reality to it? Which is correct? Therefore, the entire study gets unfolded. Now, don't come here and ask, sir, what about my karma? What about, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga? You can practice bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, all that is only if you believe in the reality, no? Now, we are questioning the very basis on which we are claiming that reality. The basis is what we are experiencing. Therefore, the philosophers started probing into it. And in that probe, there are many ideas had come about, and each one came to different conclusions. And Vedanta also comes to a conclusion. Then he establishes how Vedanta is all comprehensive. And not only that, remember, the idea is not all these things. Idea is to establish the reality. That is the agenda. Agenda here is to establish the reality. What is real? If reality is something different from what we are experiencing, then what is the nature of what we are experiencing? Next chapter, Maya. Then what is the nature of that reality? Next topic, Supreme Reality. What's the connection between that Supreme Reality and me? That the what? You want that Supreme Reality, book over. If you really want it, we'll continue. Or else I have, for all purpose, I have completed the book. I have explained the book already. The entire section, part C, I have explained. You know, the what is that? The human use and abuse of religion, law of causation, theory of perception, illusions, supreme reality, that the what? Now over. They just give an introduction. Right? We'll see more.